When Trump has a bad day, we know Trump watches Fox and Friends and yells at the TV. But today he did the same thing, but we all got to listen in. Now on the next leg of Trump's trip, which took him to the Vatican, Trump's hands really couldn't catch a break because this time, the First Lady gave him the old down low, too slow. When you watch that, do you think maybe Melania is jealous? Maybe that's what this was about? Oh, now you want to hold hands, Donald? You sure you wouldn't rather be holding that orb? I've always been a fan of Melania Trump. You know, as a fellow immigrant, she inspires me.
Did you see Melania's face when Trevor Noah started spilling the tea on her marriage? That hand swap moment replayed on national TV had everyone in the audience gasping. Trump's trying to convince us it's the greatest love story, while his wife can't even fake a smile for the cameras. Stick around to see the most awkward Trump marriage moments that Noah brutally exposed. And trust me, Melania's reaction to all this is exactly what you'd expect from someone trapped in a bad real estate deal. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Did you see the moment Trevor Noah absolutely destroyed Trump's marriage on national TV? The audience was practically falling out of their chairs laughing as Noah unveiled what many have suspected all along. The Trump marriage is about as real as Trump's hair color. Let's be honest, Trevor Noah didn't just make a few jokes about Donald and Melania's relationship. He performed a full surgical extraction of their marriage facade, leaving nothing but the cold, hard truth exposed under the studio lights. Noah took his comedy scalpel to the Trump union and dissected it for all to see, revealing what looks more like a business arrangement with terrible terms than any kind of love match.
What's wild about the story is, look at these two people. How is she the one with the health issue? How? I mean, Trump's blood type is KFC positive. Now on the next leg of Trump's trip, which took him to the Vatican, Trump's hands really couldn't catch a break because this time, the First Lady gave him the old down low, too slow. Like, oh, thank you, Donald. My life is a beautiful dream. 2 weeks, then we didn't see her, and then now it's 3 weeks, and then they announced that maybe we'll see her at the end of June. I don't know what that means.
The highlight reel started with that infamous hand swat seen around the world. You know the one, where Melania smacked away Donald's hand like it was covered in unpaid tax bills. The audience erupted as Noah played the clip, his commentary turning what could have been a simple awkward moment into evidence of a marriage on life support. But Trevor wasn't done there. He went full detective mode on Melania's facial expressions, breaking down those icy side eyes that practically screamed, "I'd rather be anywhere else." You know those looks, the ones she gives when she thinks the cameras aren't watching, but they totally are. Every grimace and frown analyzed by Noah revealed a woman who looks about as happy in her marriage as a cat taking a bath. The studio audience couldn't contain themselves. People were doubled over, clutching their stomachs while others threw their heads back in uncontrolled laughter as Noah compared the Trump marriage to a failed real estate venture. Which, let's face it, is probably the comparison that hurt Donald the most. Noah's stage presence was the secret weapon in this takedown, before delivering each killer punchline.
And you could tell from the start that this was going to be special. I told you, Melania, me and the orb was a one-time thing. The orb means nothing to me, means nothing. I was barely hard. What was even stranger was that Trump was walking out of the White House, and then he was being interviewed by the press gaggle. When Trump has a bad day, we know Trump watches Fox and Friends and yells at the TV. But today he did the same thing, but we all got to listen in. I would pay anything to know what he wrote inside that card that he definitely didn't actually get.
He'd pause with that signature smirk and raised eyebrow, the comedy equivalent of pulling back a bow before letting an arrow fly. And when those jokes landed, they were sharp enough to slice through a prenup. The timing was impeccable, letting each revelation sink in before moving to the next exhibit of marital misery. The comedian served up the theory that Melania is basically a prisoner of her own contract, joking that if she divorces him, she gets half of the $400 million in debt. The line sent the audience into hysterics, with howls of laughter echoing through the studio. It's funny because, well, it might actually be true. While Noah was busy exposing the cracks in the golden Trump facade on television, the internet was having a field day. TikTok creators immediately jumped on the bandwagon, chopping up Noah's segment into bite-sized viral bombs that spread across social media faster than conspiracy theories at a family Thanksgiving dinner.
Tried everything, pulled the plug. It's like, you're not on life support. I don't care, just try it, see what happens. When you watch that, do you think maybe Melania is jealous? Maybe that's what this was about? Oh, now you want to hold hands, Donald? You sure you wouldn't rather be holding that orb? And then someone said, like, where's Melania? And he was like, oh, she's fine. She's looking at us right now. And he pointed at a window, and then all the press turned, and there was no one there.
News outlets picked up the story too, replaying the most brutal parts of Noah's comedy assault and amplifying what he started into a full-blown digital wildfire. What made Noah's takedown so devastating wasn't just the jokes, it was how he exposed the painful truth beneath the gold-plated facade with surgical precision. Through comedy, he managed to articulate what many have quietly suspected. Behind the forced smiles and staged appearances lies something that resembles a contractual obligation more than a marriage. Trump's reaction was as predictable as a tantrum after losing at golf. He unleashed a Category 5 social media hurricane, insisting his marriage is actually the greatest love story of all time, while Melania maintained her characteristic silence. Nothing says true love quite like one person screaming about how perfect everything is while the other says absolutely nothing, right? The internet, meanwhile, wasn't buying Trump's desperate defense. Within hours, hashtags like #FreeMelania and #TrumpMarriage truthers were trending, with memes spreading faster than scandals at Mar-a-Lago. One viral tweet simply showed Melania's hand swat on loop with the caption, "When your prenup has a no-touch clause."
It's Melania's birthday, so I said, let's do it on Melania's birthday. So happy birthday to Melania.
We're like, roses are red, love is a mystery. I had a historic electoral college victory. He does not live a healthy life. At a rally last week, Trump vowed to fight for the rights of the LGBTQ community. I've always been a fan of Melania Trump. You know, as a fellow immigrant, she inspires me.
When the laughter dies down, what remains is the uncomfortable truth Noah served up. He didn't just deliver comedy, he handed us a marriage autopsy report. The most telling part? Melania's complete radio silence since the segment aired. While Trump raged tweets about his so-called perfect marriage, his wife's absence from public view speaks louder than any defensive social media tirade ever could. Let's be real, what we witnessed wasn't just comedy, it was a public service announcement. The next time Trump extends his hand toward Melania at some fancy political event, we'll all be thinking about Noah's breakdown of their relationship, not as some fairy tale romance, but as what it truly resembles. A contract with terrible terms that Melania is still trying to understand how she signed. The internet has a long memory, and Melania's silent treatment following Noah's roast will live on in the collective consciousness long after Trump's desperate denials fade away.